Let's kick off the meeting here. I'm going to start with some introductions. So I'm Bruce Hammond. Sitting next to me is my lovely wife Joyce. We have a few board members that are joining us on our call today. So Mary Fleer is on the call, and let's see, do I see anybody else? Nope, at the moment she's another board member. I think the other ones will join shortly. But at any rate, there's Mary.
There you are.
Nice to see you all.
So this is, we're going to record this so that we have it for on demand. If people who couldn't make it today, we had a number of people said that they had previous commitments. So today's agenda, I like to cover just a few things. We want to discuss, where our progress has been this last year with our Eco Village, kind of from a budgeting standpoint. We're also going to have a message from Rick, and he's going to talk about his priorities, and we also thought we'd do something a little bit different today, and to feature some of the girls in a cultural moment. So, Rick, if you want to take it away from there, then I'll let you get started.
Okay. First, I'd like to thank everyone for spending their Saturday morning to listening to our story. Today we have 5 of our girls who would like to do a traditional song, which includes a dance. This is a ceremonial song they use at the bonas, usually used for different ceremonies, but particularly for when a new bride is coming to her husband's house for the first time. With me today is Regina. Regina is our longest term employee and our stellar house mother. And on my right is Elisante Boy, and Elisante is our manager. Without Elisante's management skills, I'd be back somewhere in the coal mines. Okay, with that, I'd like the girls to introduce themselves. Ndoya, if you'll introduce yourself.
My name is Nandaya Moses. I am 15 years old. My name is Espa Saifi. I am 15 years old. My name is Sinal Nasayan. I am 14 years old. My name is Susanna Papaya. I am 14 years old. My name is Nema Bennett. I am 14 years old.
Okay, get ready, girls. Comfortable? Okay.
Wonderful.
Very, very good, girls. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very nice.
So everybody knows, none of these girls spoke any English or Swahili when they came to us. So this is a big step. And they're usually very bashful, but they work very hard to get over the bashfulness so they can do this presentation.
Very nice.
Very cool.
You don't have to see me, I don't think. I'm going to sit down because, as Bruce said, I'm old. No. Okay. Bruce,
well, Rick, let me share my screen here. We have some slides. What we'd like to do is go through a relatively quick presentation. Again, talking about the some of Rick's objectives, the progress we've made in the last year, what our future projects are we're looking for this year, and then open it up for questions in the forum. So we hope to be done here relatively soon. We don't have that many slides, but we thought that we'd use this opportunity to communicate with everybody here. So Rick, you want to? I've got your slide showing that has your challenges up.
Sure. So I started MGRC officially in 2018 when we started in Longito in a rental property that was barely adequate. And we start looking for land, we start looking for other facilities where we could put a permanent home for the girls. We do have a place that's better in Karata where we found land, but we're renting a facility now. Unfortunately, our facility, when we moved in, was compliant with the health department, but now there's new health regulations and we're not 100% compliant. And El Asante is working diligently with the government people to try to get some waivers until we move into our new home. We have some other challenges besides just the compliance. Water is an issue. Even though there's government water here where we had spotty water in Longito, it's better here, but we'll go 2 or 3 days, 4 days a month with no water, sometimes more. So we have to find water and purchase it because we have 70 people that we're feeding and housing and cleaning. Electricity, it goes off for sometimes most of the day, not 24 hours, but 12 hours a day, probably 5 or 6 times a month, which creates issues for us. When we get down to the unique development issues for our girls, it's almost impossible to imagine unless you come and look and see where they came from and spend some time seeing the lifestyle they came from. They didn't, just in Tanzania, only 40% of the girls go to secondary school. Of those 40%, only 30% graduate. Our girls had never attended school. And some of them came to us 11, 12, 13, 14 years old, and they never attended school. So as far as the government was concerned, they didn't exist. They didn't have birth certificates. They were born in the bush. They didn't have any documentation. So they weren't counted even in that 40% that went to school. So they were non-entities as far as that. Their life was destined to, when they got old enough, they were going to be married. And some of them were 8 years old, some were 11 years old that we have in this room today that were married off. So they have those types of developmental issues. They came to us only speaking Maasai. In order to go to school, they had to speak Swahili. They had to learn Swahili. So now they know enough Swahili to be able to function in school, and they're all doing fairly well in school. The schools are, well, we complain about our schools in America, but schools here have a different challenge. They don't always, the girls get no individual attention from the teachers. Many times the teachers don't show up to the classes. It's a challenge. There's 80 to 100 students in a class. So if you are aggressive and you're assertive, you may get a decent education. But if you come from the background where our girls and their language is a difficult thing for them and they're bashful, it's quite a bit harder. So each one of our girls, when I first came here, I'll back up a little bit. I believe that if we give them an education, they can be on their own. And that's not quite true. An education is important, is part of the foundation they need, but they also need to have a development plan. They have to have life skills capabilities. They've got to be able to see what the rest of the world has and what their potential, what opportunities lie out for their future. These girls came from an area where there wasn't a shop, there wasn't electricity, there wasn't running water, there wasn't a school. The closest school for them was 6 kilometers away through the bush, no houses in between. And they didn't go to those schools because the parents didn't view that there was any opportunity for these girls even if they went to school. And it's true. If you only go through grade school, there's no real jobs for you after class 7. And many drop out after class 7. That's when they get married. If you go through high school, there's very little jobs for you if you go through high school. Maybe a factory in town or something, but these girls lived in the bush. They wouldn't know how to function there. So they had some challenges when we brought them, besides the abuse of being forced married at 8, 10, 11 years old, and the other abuses that they had out there. Okay, Bruce? Next slide. Okay. I set some personal goals. I had some help with this from my teammates, but for this year, we want to put together an individual advancement plan for each girl. And this doesn't mean, okay, how are we going to get her through high school? How are we going to get her through school? It's how do we guide her to what her opportunities are in Tanzania? What kind of future can she see for herself? And how can we help support her in achieving that future? The one thing that we've come up with that I feel very strongly about is we plan on building a vocational school, 4 rooms, teaching sewing, baking, hair and cosmetics, computer training, and
Oh, part of that infrastructure challenge you was talking about earlier. I'm amazed we've kept the internet as long as we have. So Ricky, you still there?
He fell off his chair.
He definitely fell off his chair. You back?
This is a big, we believe, I said, when I first came here, I thought, if you give the girls an education, they have a big edge, because the girls were not sent to school here, only the boys. And I was wrong. You really need 2 or 3 parts of this. They need life skills and they need some vocational acumen. And if they have that, and they have faith in themselves, and they have a willingness to work for themselves, they can be successful here. We also know that speaking English in this country gives you a huge leg up on other people. We have, we'll talk about the staff a little bit later, but we've hired some new staff that are degree nurses, community development degrees, and they all say the difference between why they got the job and someone didn't is they spoke English, even maybe someone had higher grades than they had, because it's an essential tool. It's one of the 2 languages and standard languages in Tanzania. Swahili is the common language. English is the business language, and each tribe has their own language. There's 122 tribes in this country, so they all have their own personal language. So our girls are trilingual, and I barely speak English. Okay. We have, I think, if you've been following us at all, we've started, when we moved here, we bought land. We started our farm in mid-March last year. It's been a year, and I would say the farm has been complete. It's producing the vegetables, the proteins that our girls eat, all 70 of our staff and girls. So that we feel has been a big success. We were blessed to finally get a strong farm manager. You'll see the pictures later, but he has a degree in animal husbandry and agriculture, and he's added a lot to the planning and laying out of the farm. We raised funds over Christmas for putting up the security barrier. We call it that because we don't want to just call it a fence, because it's much more than a fence. It's got, you'll see some pictures later. It encloses the 12 acres because we need to make sure that our girls are safe and have a secure place to live. So that's almost finished. It'll be finished probably early April, mid-April, and right after that we hope and plan on starting the Eagle multi-purpose center, which is the dining hall, the offices, and the some of the vocational rooms, if we have the money for the vocational rooms. Next, I want to talk a little bit about the need for volunteers. One of the things that I think will make a huge difference for our girls is meeting people from other countries, just meeting Americans who come here and talk about their life, share their family stories, share their family pictures, and let these girls share their stories with them. Our girls will grow tremendously, and I believe, and some of you have been here, you'll see that it will touch your heart too. It'll make a difference when you're here. I can't overemphasize the importance of good volunteers that come here and want to spend some time with the girls. And of course, it's also a beautiful country to spend a vacation, but that should be secondary to wanting to help the girls. In order to meet the individual development advancement plans for the girls, we needed to add to the staff. One of the things that was difficult in the beginning was funding. And then somehow I got very, very blessed to get Growth Point and Bruce and Joyce to join our organization. And since they've joined, their marketing organization and the volunteers that they brought have made such a big difference in us getting the word out of what we're doing and how we're doing it. It's also allowed people to make significant donations to help us do what we're doing today. And without that support, we couldn't be here. But now we've been able to hire additional staff. We still have some additional staff to hire in order to meet those individual advancement plans that we have for the girls. Okay, so the organization chart, I'm not the managing director, I'm a retired founder, but Elisante is our operational director. Under him, he has 16 people. We plan on adding 9 more this year if everything goes according to plan. We hired a new administrator, and the administrator has the staff, the matrons, the house cleaning, you can read all that, all the girls under her in the education. We have a social welfare director who's been with us a year. She has a degree in social welfare, doing a great job. And we look to add 1 more for that. Social welfare is the one who counsels with the girls and communicates back with the donors. And one of the things that she's been doing, I think, a good job of, much better than I could, is communicating back with notes from our girls back to their sponsors and vice versa. We have a farm manager, as I said, that has a degree in animal husbandry and agriculture. And under them, we have livestock. We have zero grazing cows up the girls bring. 300 chickens at one time, 200 broilers that we use for meat, and 100 layers that we use for eggs. Then we have our garden where we're learning how to space the crops out so we don't have an overabundance at one time and have to freeze them. But we are providing 95% of the vegetables that the girls need are eating. And when I say that, it's more than that, because it's 95% of the vegetables we'd like them to have. Before, we were only able to give them vegetables twice a week. Now they get vegetables every day, and a variety of vegetables that we couldn't buy before. I can't see the last bullet there. Is that it? Livestock, vegetables, and what?
Yeah. So I guess we're kind of wrapping up and talking about your staff and so forth. So this is a picture that I think Elisante provided us a couple days ago. Rick, how many of these people are recent hires?
Well, let me do it this way. 1, 2, 3. 3 of them have been with me over 2 years. The rest have been with me 1 year, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them have been with me 2 months.
So I think that, and you put this down as one of your priorities for this year, and personally, I believe it's probably your most important priority, and that is the developing of your staff, because it's actually the hard work of these people that are actually getting the work done and nurturing the girls. So Rick and Elisante are doing a great job of building a team. I've been in business for 30 some years and hired countless numbers of people. And I got to tell you, from my working with Rick and being there in Africa, it is orders of magnitude harder to find qualified people with the right backgrounds and so forth. I can't imagine, the amount of hours it takes to bring somebody on, and then of course to nurture them and to bring them along to be effective to implement our vision. So again, I think we're in a better position we have been ever. I'm very optimistic with the staff. I talk with Rick and Elisante almost on a daily basis, reviewing operations and helping out. So it may not seem like a lot is changing, but there's been a lot changing in the staff.
Just the tall man in the middle wearing the blue hat and the blue outfit is the farm manager.
Yeah.
And he's not 12.
When he sent the picture to me, I said, "So who's the kid in the picture?"
But the men respect him because they know he's knowledgeable. We have a great team at the farm right now, and they're solid workers. And with his name is Innocent, so he's got to be a good guy.
So what I'd like to do is to spend a few moments talking through the progress we've made on our major programs, and I guess I would have to start out and saying, what a difference a year makes. In 2020, we basically started working with an architectural firm out of Australia that we partnered with, that they provided services to us pro bono on developing a master plan on our future. We knew we needed to have a new facility. We needed to have our own land and our own property and so forth, and we needed a strategy of how to become self-sustainable. So we developed that plan starting in 2020. At the end of the year, we basically completed the plan, and the goal was to create a long-term sustainable solution that not only provided the permanent home for up to 120 girls, but it was financially independent, which is really the key point here. We want to rewrite the book on solving debilitating poverty for these girls and develop a promising future. From a construction perspective, it's about 25 buildings, from 10 homes for the 120 girls, vocational schools, preschools, multi-purpose buildings for dining and master kitchens, I gotta mention preschools, admin building, and then most importantly, from a financial perspective, what we're calling the Eco Lodge, or it'll be the business that raises the funds, and the profits from those will source or will fund the operations of Rick Center and the future of those girls. The total estimated cost back in 2020 we thought was going to be like around $2.5 million, and quite frankly, I'd rather be lucky than good. So far, that seems to be holding pat to where we think the overall costs are going to be. The plan consisted of, and actually I'll back up a little bit. As we were developing the master plan, and we knew we needed to be, our business was going to be in the tourist business, Rick started looking for property. It took about 2 years, as he mentioned, to find the appropriate property that was within the area where there's a lot of tourism. And that's exactly where we are, by a lot of where the major parks are. And we purchased the property and finalized that in January 2021. It's 15 acres total. There's 3 acres on one side, and now there's a road. There wasn't a road before. There was 3 acres that we're going to put the farm up, and then there's the 12 acres for the rest of the buildings. And so that again, it's titled and purchased in MGRC International, so it is owned by the organization.
Bruce, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is that, are you talking the capital investment of $2.5 million for all of this? Is that?
Yes.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. That is amazing. Wow. Okay, thank you.
It is, some things in Tanzania are inexpensive, and some things are similar, and obviously there's some things that are more. But I'll tell you in general, the labor costs are significantly under what you'd see in developed countries. But the building materials and so forth, unless they're sourced right off on site, then they're going to cost more. I can talk for hours. The first major project that we wanted to go into was to develop the farm. And the reason the farm was the #1 priority was at that point in time, Rick, I think we had something like 12, or no, excuse me, about 6 cows, dairy cows, that was providing milk for our girls. And we needed a place to put them. We also wanted to have, as soon as we could, reduce our food costs and to increase the quality, a food source for us. So we, through a generous donation, we got the farm funded, and we started construction on that in March. And so, although I can talk for hours on it, what I thought I would do is we created a short video that's got some pictures and so forth. So I'll go ahead and play that.
This is a quick update on the MGRC Eco Village investment. We started construction of our Eco Village in March of 2021. The construction consisted of building 5 buildings, barns, living quarters, and so forth. Had to clear the land, build a perimeter fence around it. By the June timeframe of that year, we had completed all the building construction, and the fence in, and plowed up the fields. And by the end of summer, we had actually planted all of our crops, had the animals moved in. By the beginning of 2022, we're feeding all the girls in our staff of over 70 people from the outfitted Eco Farm. Let's let that sink in for a moment. After 9 months, we started from undeveloped land to providing all the milk, meat, eggs, and vegetables needed to feed 70 people. That's a pretty good accomplishment, and we're very proud of the effort that Rick and his staff have put into to accomplish this goal. To produce the most food to feed our animals, we operate a hydroponic system that creates the fodder. The fodder is a very nutritious food source for our zero grazing cows, our chickens, our pigs, and our rabbits. Milk is a critical element of our girls' diet. That's why we're so focused on improving the productivity of how much milk we can get out of our dairy cows. That's why we do zero grazing. We use modern practical techniques to improve the output of our milk production. We probably produce an order of magnitude higher milk per cow than most of the local small farmers. We raise chickens for both meat and eggs. We have about 100 layer chickens for eggs and about 200 broiler chickens. A major part of their chicken's diet is the hydroponic fodder, which we grow daily. We also raise pigs and rabbits for meat. Here you can see 2 of our pigs in our pig pen. One of our major goals of the Eco Farm is to have a minimal environmental impact and reduce our energy costs. To that end, we designed a biogas system that uses the animal waste from the cows and pigs and turns them into a fuel source that we need at the farm. Anyone who knows anything about farming knows it takes a lot of work. We have a farm manager who's degreed in agriculture and animal husbandry, and a staff of 3 other people who help out on the farm full-time daily. We use the Eco Farm as a vocational learning opportunity for the girls. The older girls who are interested in farming help out on our farm. We grow a diverse number of vegetable types. Greens like lettuce, tomatoes, eggplant, okra, carrots, onion, cabbage. We harvest daily. We set them up to the kitchen to serve or to store. We created a business system to measure the farm's production and expenses to ensure that we are cost effectively creating healthy food. Based on our proven productivity, we will pay back the initial investment in under 2 years based on not buying food at the markets, and we are feeding our girls healthier food, teaching them how to farm using sustainable methods. We are very proud of the hard work from Rick and his team making this sustainable farm a reality. I also know with a healthy smiles like this, we are on the right track. Thank you very much for your support.
So that's a brief update on the farm and the progress we've made, and I can't say how proud I am of El Santi and Rick and the team, the farm manager, and kind of the results that they're doing. I am blown away that starting from an undeveloped field, that we are producing enough food to feed the 70 people. There's still a lot of work to do. We're learning a lot of things. But that 3-acre farm, I guarantee you, outproduces any small farm in that area. And so we're also teaching the community that what can be done. Again, it's not rocket science, but it is focused on proven techniques on how to farm sustainably. The next major project that we took on in 2021 was to do the engineering and do detailed engineering and site plans and getting all the permits approved by the local government. And so we hired a construction company that we wanted to partner with for the whole project. We'll see if that works or not, but so far it's working out very well. So the engineering had been done, the plans, environmental impact statements, all those things have been completed. And then we started the construction of our security, our perimeter fences, security wall going around. And it sounds like it's easy to put a fence up, but again, this is 3 acres, or excuse me, 12 acres. It's on a side of a valley, so it's not particularly level land and so forth. And so they've made very, very good progress. We are probably within the last month of construction. And as you can see, the wall is pretty much up. The security guard gates are in. There's 2 major gates, one for the main entrance and one for the entrance to the eco village for business. And they have to do the painting of the stucco that's on the concrete here, but the gates are in, and we're wrapping up on that construction project. So we expect that to be done this month. So that's where we are on the projects in the last 12 months. And again, I feel pretty good about what has been accomplished in 2021. As I said, what a difference a year makes. Let's talk about 2022 and what we're trying to achieve this year. First, we'll start out from an operating budget. We separate capital from the operating expenses. Our goal is for 2022 to keep the cost per girl at $180 a month. That's what our goal was in 2021. And we were able to actually outperform that and came in about 10% less. We don't have 100% of our girls sponsored $180 a month, but we think that that's where we need to be. That cost includes everything to operate and to raise these girls. The full-time live-in staff, facilities to house the girls, food, cooking, includes the eco farm, medical expenses, education expenses, and setting up of the vocational school. If you look at how we break it down, the salaries and the facilities make up probably 2/3 of the total cost. The numbers on the side here is the increase from 2021. So our biggest increase was staff and facilities, but our food costs went down by half. Eco Farm went up a little bit because it didn't have a full year of operating, and everything else was stayed about the same. So overall, the budget of $125,000 is about 8 or 9% more than what he spent in 2021. But we're getting a lot more for it. As you can see, there's 9 more people that we're hiring as far as staff. So, and we're building capabilities as far as education with the whole.
You should see this, Karen.
So that's where we are from an operating budget standpoint. We have a lot of transparency of what's going on. And if people are interested in seeing, we have built dashboards every day. I see and Rick and others see exactly what's being spent and what every shilling is going towards. We keep a very direct line of sight. Joyce is our overall treasurer, and she works from a budget that's submitted by Rick. And on a monthly basis, we transfer the funds to Tanzania, and then Rick works from those, or actually his team works from those funds. We have budgets in that place for every line item, and again, that dashboard is available if any of the donors would like to see it. From a project perspective, the next thing that's on the docket is to build what we're calling the multi-purpose complex. It's a complex of 4 buildings. The most important is a cafeteria and kitchen. It also includes a bakery and an auditorium. And although this is this is the engineering drawings or the 3D drawings, it's kind of a weird perspective. It makes this building in front look large. Really, this building here is the main auditorium and kitchen and dining area. That one's probably about at least 3 times the size of the other 2 buildings. We have the vocational school, the preschool, and an admin building on top of that. So we are planning on starting that construction in May. We are still short some funding needed to build the vocational school. This whole project is going to be about $340,000. Again, pretty amazing for what you get for $340,000. But we're 70 short at the moment for the vocational school. So if you have an extra $70,000 hanging around, or you know somebody that does, we would appreciate it. The next phase after this is to build the homes. And I get asked this a lot. Why don't we start with the girls' homes first? Well, we only have 1 kitchen, 1 dining hall. We need to put the infrastructure in before we can move the girls into the houses. We built these houses so that each one will house 12 girls and 2 house mothers. And so the layout works such that the major meals, they go down to the dining hall to eat. But we want to create as close to a family environment as we can. And so the next phase is to start this construction in early 2023. We have a timeline that we have to go by because we are currently leasing a hotel that would serve the tourist business. Obviously, with the pandemic, the tourist business has been down, and we've been able to be fortunate enough to be able to rent that facility. That's not going to happen. That's not going to stay that way as the lease is up in about 12 months. So we want to build the 5 homes that takes care of 60 girls. We also want to have a borehole or a water system put in, a well. We've already got it surveyed. We know that we have water, and that's part of this plan. And then also a biogas system for energy. So that would all happen during this project. It's about $650,000. And we haven't raised that money yet, but that's the next that's on the docket. So that's where we are from our goals and getting set for this year, for projects. In summary, I would say that the girls are heading in the right direction due to the support of, obviously, of you all, the generous donors, and the hard work of Rick's teams. Volunteers and visitors are not only welcome, but they're encouraged. We have an urgent need for capital to meet our needs, and I would like to personally thank everybody for their hard support. What I'd like to do now is to kind of open it up for general questions, dialogues, things that we could do better from your perspective as donors, how we can communicate more effectively, the things you like, the things you'd like to see more of, and things you'd like to see less of. So at any rate, I'll open up to questions.
Well, my name's Linda, and I just began sponsoring a girl a few months ago. And so this is my first introduction. I've been to Tanzania a few times on medical missions, and actually one of the girls there right now at the Maasai Girls Rescue Center is from one of those missions trips that we went on. I guess a question I have is regarding sponsorship. I'm sponsoring a girl, but how you communicate with that person. Mm-hmm. I know that was briefly mentioned. Is that via email then?
We have a number of different ways that are continuing to evolve on connecting the sponsors with the girls. One thing that we started off at the end of last year was around the holidays was to set up some Zoom calls where you could have a Zoom call with the individual girl. We'll continue doing those going into the future. Sue, I think you're on the line today, aren't you? I thought I saw you come on.
Yep.
You may want to address that as Sue's one of our board members and has been working on what's the best way to make that communication link.
Yeah, so thank you very much. And Christy, please chime in too, and Janice. So we are ramping up our sponsorship program to have more communication with you. So letters from the girls to you as well. Christy did a great job with a program at Christmas time, so we could get some more communication. We're hoping to set up the website so that you would be able to electronically communicate with them, because obviously letters via postal is a little challenging and difficult with shipping. And as Bruce said, the web chats and video chats as well. So we are going to, coming up in just a month or more, give everyone the opportunity to be able to go on the website, and you can write a letter, upload a picture, and then actually we'll have Christy actually personally delivering those to the girls when she goes and visits. And we're open to all your suggestions, because you probably have wonderful ideas about additional things that you would like as a sponsor to be able to do.
So you might Thank want you to very mention we're going to try and do a survey of those people that have joined the Zoom calls before.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, so as Mary indicated, the Zoom calls we just held at the holidays, we'd love to get feedback from all of you who participated. If you'd like to do more of them, and if there's any improvements we can have on those. So we'll send that out shortly.
I would just like to comment on the Zoom calls. This is Karen Norris, that we did one over the holidays, and it was wonderful. It was just a great opportunity for not only us, but our children to meet with the girl that we sponsor, and have since then been doing email communications with her and getting feedback and really developing a relationship. So it's been great.
Thank you.
Thanks for the feedback. That's fantastic.
Is this Maasai Girls Rescue?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Okay, hi, I'm Nancy McLeese, and I have been having a horrible time getting connected. So anyway, I figured it out, but I'm on my phone and not on my iPad. So anyway, sorry I'm late.
Nancy, we are recording it, so you'll be able to watch it as a recorded video.
Okay. Thanks.
And thank you for your support. Nancy is sponsoring 5 girls, I believe. And
right, and my husband is here as well.
So.
Bob, would you like to be on the call?
She's been with us since the beginning.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I'll be right there. I'm coming.
Okay. Yes, he's coming. Yeah, I've been on trying to figure this thing out. Oh my gosh. So anyway, whatever firewalls and proxies are, you got me. I have no clue. So
Somebody tells us they're important.
anyway.
Is there any other things we'd like to talk about or bring up or questions?
This is Rick. Maybe just, I guess, a comment and follow up to the discussion we just had. Number one, this is my first time on a call with all of you, and I just want to tell you, I am absolutely impressed with what's been accomplished in such a short period of time, and for the amount of money spent. I think it's absolutely amazing what you've all accomplished. I think it's very impressive.
Thank you.
Number two, in relation, once we're able to develop a little more relationship, like I said, we just sponsored MGRC in January, so we haven't had a chance to meet her on a Zoom call or anything else yet. But once that relationship gets established, is it possible to share little gifts and that type of stuff with the girls, or do you not want to do that because of maybe inequities between the girls, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's a real delicate discussion. Because of the impact of not all girls are sponsored, but we basically want to make sure that we are treating all the girls as best we can. And we want to have the donors to have a relationship with the sponsor, have a relationship with the girls. So, getting personal items to them is fine. We want to be, as I said, sending pictures and things. We want to make an opportunity for that around the holidays. But as Sue will probably communicate coming into the future as to what those things are, giving them letters, getting them information about your family and so forth is certainly a great way of sharing.
Okay, good, thank you.
Anything specifically about their birthdays? Can cards be sent to them?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that we've been talking about is to, part of the challenge here is that there's no mail delivery to them. So our best way of getting stuff to Tanzania is somebody bring it over when they visit. So the next scheduled visitor, I think, is going in April. And so what we try to do is we use them as a mule to carry over materials and so forth for the girls. We have an organization in Phoenix, they are a Scottsdale, that provides the dresses, the threads of hope. They bring those over on a couple times a year. So what we're trying to do is figure out a way to do it electronically over the web, so that you could write a letter, do a birthday wish and so forth. And then it can be printed out there, uploading the photos and so forth.
Okay.
But getting a package from the US to there, the probability that it would actually make is under 50%. There's just too many hands that it touches in between him that it doesn't work out.
Okay.
I'd like to say a few things. This is Liz Orella.
Hi.
Hi. I visited Rick's place 3 times, and I am so impressed with how things are coming, what the farm looks like. I was just there in December and it looked amazing. It was just the amount of animals there, and I had a nice conversation with a pig. It was really cute too. But I spent an amazing week there with the girls and just really had fun. I'm so happy to hear that there's more staff on board. That really makes me feel good. I'm going back in December. As I said, I've been there 3 times. So I saw Longido. I saw them after they moved right after they moved into Karatu, and I went back to Karatu and I got to see the farm grow through those 2 visits to Karatu. It's amazing what they've done, and Rick has done such a wonderful job with planning and hiring folks. I'm just really impressed with
Thank you.
the new hires, especially.
Thank you.
Thanks. And although Rick will get, I'll make sure he gets the message, because I just got a WhatsApp. He just fell off the call a couple of minutes ago, but again, he'll have the recording. But Liz, thank you so much for your support and your help. We truly appreciate it.
And I'm going again in December. So if you want to send anything with me, I'm
We
happy
will,
to take us.
we will load you up.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
I'll be going in September also. So
Wonderful.
Thanks, Linda.
yeah, and I'm in Phoenix here. So
Okay.
Great.
Now, who is that? Who is that? I'm sorry. Linda who?
my name is Linda Hartzler. Here I am.
Hi,
There you
Linda. I'm Nancy,
Hi.
and I'm in
Hi, Nancy.
Scottsdale. So,
Oh, okay.
I'm in
Uh,
Scottsdale too.
all right.
Who's
yes,
that
I
that
know.
said?
Right. So we will have to connect here. If
Yeah,
that would be
That'd be
great.
great.
When are you
There's
going
actually
again?
there's a women's African prayer group that I'm involved with. If you guys would like to be invited to the lunches, I'd love to get your emails.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay, I'll see about doing that in the chat. There's a chat here probably. If I send it in the chat
Yes, that'll work.
on my phone though. Okay.
I have a couple questions. Oh, go ahead.
Sure, no, go right ahead.
So my first question is just on the sponsorships. There's been a lot of communication on communicating with the girls and things like that. I guess it's kind of making me consider this, because I'm a sponsor, obviously, and I did receive a card, which I really did appreciate. But I don't know that I'm the kind of sponsor that would be communicating back and forth, and would that cause a problem because then they would feel?
No,
Not at all.
not at all. Because what we're doing is that Sue's team has thought of that. We'll make sure that at times like Christmas and birthdays and so forth, that they'll get a letter even if a sponsor does not write it.
When I've been there, the girls have really been treated equally. I brought balloons to them, and they really love balloons, and each girl got at least a few balloons, you know. It's trying to think of a gift or something that you can send to all of them is hard, but it's, you know, it's definitely worthwhile. And whenever I go, I make sure that I spend time with all the girls.
Yeah, it's important. If you don't feel comfortable, you haven't sent something, then don't feel that, you know, it's an obligation. We want to open it up for opportunities for those that do.
I guess I'm wondering if there might be some kind of a non-girl sponsorship you guys might want to open up, just so that people can give monthly donations, but it's not considered that for people like me who I really want to support Messiah Rescue, but at the same time, just given my circumstances and time available and things like that, I know that I wouldn't have time to be involved other than providing funding.
And we certainly can accept that. If you're donating online, you can set up a monthly donation that goes to the general funds, or you can sponsor a girl, or send money for capital projects. And we've been trying to become more flexible and, you know, offering new opportunities for that. We've had one person ask to be able to, for tax reasons, to be able to send stocks to us. We set that up so that you could transfer stocks. You get a certain tax advantage for doing it that way. And then we could, you know, liquidate the stock, give you your tax deduction, and move forward. So Joyce, who is ahead of all of our finance and our treasurer, she's very clever. And so if there's money to be had, she'll figure out how to get it.
I have one more question. Can you tell me more about the water situation? Is this for farm water? Is it for drinking water? Is there a lot of water, a little water? Is the water on part of the day? Can they dig a well? What is the status on the water?
It's a good question. You know, every day I talk to Rick and his team daily, and it's usually the first discussion is what's not working today. And it's amazing. We take things for granted, like electricity and internet and water. He does have a pipe that comes to him from the government. And it's on more than it was in Longito, but it's still, I'd say at least 1 or 2 days a week he does not have water. And that means that, you know, he immediately has to go and get water trucked in to fill his water tower. A lot of water, obviously. So what our plans is when we purchase the property, our property goes down to the near the bottom of the valley. At the bottom of the valley, we actually annexed another piece of property that we know has water on it. We got it surveyed and so forth. So as part of our master plan is to put a borehole in and then be able to pump the water up for the full facilities. It is not an inexpensive ordeal, as you probably know. The full cost of that water system is around $60,000 to $70,000. Requires a generator. Again, the other thing that doesn't work a lot is electricity. Our farm today, we have government water that goes to it. Again, it's on and off. But we have a water tower that we've built and drip irrigation systems and so forth that we're putting in place. We have put in place. And so our earlier crops that we put in didn't survive the dry season. And now that we've got the water tower and the drip irrigation system in, we're doing much better. But right now we're in the rainy season, and we'll see how things go in the future.
So Boyd Bergen.
I'm sorry.
I think one of the things that it's very difficult for people in the U.S. to understand is that Tanzania has no aquifer, natural aquifer underneath the country. So when we talk about water in Tanzania, it is not as easy as in the US. You poke a hole in the ground and water comes out. There is no aquifer. So now you have to hunt for a water supply that's reliable. And that's where they're talking about boreholes and this kind of stuff, but it is not throughout the whole country. And that's what makes it extremely difficult.
Yeah, thanks, Boyd. Because we have, we've failed once before in Longito. Rick has invested a fair amount of his own dollars putting a borehole in, and it was a dry hole. So it is a difficult, challenging thing to do. The water that comes from the government is coming off of Kilimanjaro, or one of the mountains. And again, it's a huge challenge.
Can I ask one more question on that?
Sure.
So aside from the potential borehole and whatnot, is it also an option to get I know you said you have a tower now, but what about a very large storage tank of some kind?
That cost that I gave you included a large water tower. Because we'll pump it up on a daily basis and then work off of the water tower storage. That's how it works. In fact, that's how it works even at the hotel. We have a water tower but it only holds a day's worth of water. They are even a little bit less than a day's worth of water. So that's why we have to have it trucked in if they can't fill it and coming in.
Thank you.
Wow.
Good question. It's amazing what we take for granted that just doesn't work there.
Right.
Thanks, Tim.
Bruce, hi, this is Rick. I've got two questions. The first one is that video that you did, boy, that was very well done. I'd love to get a copy of it, and I'm guessing other folks on the call would love to get a copy of it as well. I'd like to play it for some of the we had a party out here, and I'd like to play it for some of these people and show them what you guys have done in the time that it's been since we had that party. So I'd love to get a copy of it.
We'll it's up on our YouTube channel. But we'll also
I'll just go up there
after the
and get
meeting. We will send you a copy of this recording of the town hall, and you know, for the people who didn't attend or weren't paying attention, they'll have a copy of the recording.
Okay, good, thanks. The second one is same kind of questions that were being asked by Tim and others with regard to the water. I had with regard to the electricity. Do you have any proactive means? Do you guys have generators on site? I'm really just more curious than anything else.
No, we don't. Are we planning to, in our current facility we have right now, we really don't want to put any capital expense into it because we know we need to get out of it. We've been thinking through and trying to engineer a more sustainable energy source. We know that biogas certainly takes care of the fuel needs for us, and it is taking care of the fuel needs of the farm right now. And we'll put it on the other 12 acres also. There's a lot of knowledge on how to do that with the animal waste. We want to get the human waste also to do that. The solar is not a good option there. And it would have been fine in Longito, but in Carato, it's kind of like Cincinnati weather. You're not going to be able to generate enough through that. So we are looking at other renewable opportunities, but I'm pretty sure that we're going to end up with emergency generator for backup, and then try to rely on the government electricity between it. The electricity, by the way, is relatively it's considerably more expensive than you'd expect, but it's not that bad. Water, on the other hand, you would drop the cost of our water bill on a monthly basis. It is many hundreds of dollars. It's expensive and it doesn't work very well. So we know that we could get a return on the investment of putting the borehole in. It's a big capital investment, and as soon as we have the money, we'll go ahead and do it. But we need to get the buildings and everything done first so we can get the girls moved in.
Neat. Well, this is so neat to be involved with you guys. It's so neat to see the progress. You have our prayers on a regular basis, and
Thank
the
you.
specific prayers are just to sustainability and growth of everything, and frankly, to make some things easy, because I know they're not always easy.
No,
So thank you.
our goal, and my goal is to be out of a job here. Is to get to this organization to self-sustain. And I truly believe we've seen the models work, where that they'll be able to bring in enough money through their business to make that happen. And that is our goal. I really think that we're going to turn the page in how we solve a lot of these poverty issues instead of these big giant government programs. Let's do it from the bottom up.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I mean, 50 to 100 years from now, we're all going to be in boxes or urns. So we got to do that.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Exactly. Well, plus they get all the skill training, hospitality skill training in addition.
Yeah.
Because of that, if they're interested.
Yeah.
Just,
Thanks.
yeah.
Bruce?
Yeah, Nancy.
It is Bruce.
I have a question.
Oh, hey,
This is
Cammie.
This is Cammie. Hi. Hi, Nancy. So just wanted to, I'm again so impressed, and just it's been amazing. I've been there twice. I was in Longuito, and then I was in Karatu last December. But yeah, it's just amazing to see the growth and the movement and the speed. I'm so surprised at just even since I've been there, what's happened with the farm and everything. And for those of you that haven't been there, just one special thing is just how these girls love each other. I mean, the older girls take care of the younger girls so well. And it's just, I mean, if you got 8 of you on a little chair, you don't think there's room for another one. And they let the other one come in, and you're like, how did 8 people get in this chair to read this book? But it's so amazing, and it's just so fulfilling. But so in talking to my friends and telling the story, a couple of the same question comes about as at what age do these girls, like what happens when they get to secondary school, or, is there a time when they move, I mean, what's the next step after? Would they ever be like out of the program, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. One we talk about a lot.
All the time.
We, as a guidance, we treat them as our own daughters. And just like, you wouldn't kick your daughter out the door if there wasn't a plan on how she was going to be able to be successful, whatever her path would be. And so we want to make sure that they have a path. And, for the earlier question on secondary school is always a boarding school. And so when they get into secondary school, their permanent home will be our, MGRC, but they'll live, and we already have 1 or 2 of those right now that are in boarding school, so that they come back during breaks and some weekends and so forth. And we hope to prepare them so that they have a path. And quite frankly, it's not going to be an academic. Going to college isn't going to be the typical path at all. First of all, it's very difficult. They have a handicap that most of them didn't enter school until they were early teens, or they're just not going to be, by the time they get there, it'll be too late. They'll be too old. So that's why we're really focused on this vocational school. It was not in the original plan. If you would have talked to us a year ago, we didn't have that. It was kind of a thought, but honestly, it wasn't a high priority. The older girls now, we know we need a path for them. And if we don't do this proactively, they're going to end up back where they started. And then we're not doing all this work for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to make sure that there is a path for each one. Rick kind of covered it very lightly, but he is developing a plan. His staff is developing a plan for each girl based on what their particular needs are, and making that a much more formal plan than we've had in the past. Joyce has been giving them some tools on the education.com from an academic perspective, but also from what they need to be successful in life and to fulfill their wishes. Now, some of them may want to go back and live in the bush and so forth. And if that's the case, that's fine. But let's give them the health training and so forth, and prenatal training and so forth, that they'll have a much healthier and happy life. But if they want
Solid math skills too.
Yeah, so, but when we talk about the vocational school, we think of it a little bit differently than just teaching them how to sew. There's plenty of those types of things out in Africa. And typically they end up with, they leave the school with a sewing machine, they go back into the bush, and then somebody sells the sewing machine off because they don't know what to do with it. Our version of it is, how do you make a living at sewing? As an example. So they need to have the math skills, as Joyce just said, that, if you're gonna set up a business or you're gonna work for a business, how do you provide for yourself with sewing, not just here's how to do this stitch and here's how to do that stitch, and how to make it into a path forward. So that's our view of it. We don't, we're not exactly positive at this point in time which vocations that we'll be in a position to be training for, but our goal is by the end of this year, we have at least 2 or 3 of those vocations up and running.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, and a lot of the girls aren't there yet, so it's just still kind of evolving, so.
It is, we've got a couple of them that are into sewing. We know that beauticians and hair is another great opportunity for them.
It's very lucrative.
Very lucrative over there for them. So we need to get, first of all, we need to get the tutors and the people who are going to do the mentoring as to how to be successful at it. And so our next hire is an education director that we can build that plan up around.
As it is right now, their plan is weekly testing, and it's not testing to knock them off their throne, it's progress testing to enhance what they need additional learning in, and also to move them into the next step that they're maybe not going to get at school because they don't speak up or they're too shy to say, I already know this, I'm ready to move forward, or I don't understand it. And education.com does a great job with that. So Rick and Elisante are setting up individual tracking for each girl in that program. And the program automatically provides that type of progress or additional learning. So I love that program, and they're starting to really enjoy it too. So it does it in a fun way also.
That's great, because a lot of them don't know to think for themselves or don't ask.
No, they don't. They have no vision. They
don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would there ever be a chance where you guys would have marketplace with the farm and sell it to the town, or?
We've thought about doing that because, one of the problems we've had so far is it's kind of feast or famine, right? Well, the tomatoes are all in so then we have to wait till the next crop comes through. So we are doing a better job of scheduling. We're also figuring out how to can them and so forth, freeze them and so forth. The same thing with like the animals, like the rabbits and the pigs and so forth. But right now we don't believe we're going to have enough left over, but we will do some bartering. It opens up a whole new tax challenge. Right now we have the very unusual for an NGO in Tanzania to be a tax deferred charity. And so we don't pay taxes. And we work very hard to get to that status. It saves us a lot of money on purchasing. We obviously, when we get to the lodge, we'll need to have another entity that is, if you will, the profit side of it, that then generates the cash for the for the charity side. Yeah. But in the short term, we're not that productive to have enough of a value to generate crops for money. Because if we get to 120 girls, we have to double the amount of productivity of that farm.
Okay.
Yeah, I wonder if you could ask a question about, you said some of the older girls may not be, too late to go to college and so forth. What about younger girls that you have, or you have a lot of, girls?
We have our best shot at the younger girls. And we're going to try to, and we do tutoring, as Joyce said, we'll put a plan together for every girl. But we're also being very realistic. The reality is a very small percentage of women, even with education, end up with a job. And so the last thing we want to do is to create a dead end path. And and we want to make sure that the education is moving in the right direction for them. But you're right, we have a whole lot easier challenge in front of us with a 6-year-old than we do with a 12-year-old or a 15-year-old that's never been to school.
Yeah. Well, the first problem with the teenagers is they're teenagers.
Yeah.
So
it's amazing that teenagerness works globally.
it's such a frontal cortex development age. So it's hard to get them to look past the,
Their emotions at the moment.
their own self.
Yeah.
To the future.
And so we've gone a little bit longer than we want. We'll stay on as long as you'd like, but is there any other comments or discussions that you'd like to talk about or questions?
No.
I have one more thing. This is more of a comment, but I'm sure some of you know, my brother Joel was a huge supporter of the Maasai Rescue Girls, and he went over there. The last trip that he did a few years ago, I think, was a very important trip. And he passed away on Tuesday. But Rick had a phone call, and some of the girls sing to him on 2 days before that. And the last sentence that at least I heard him speak in his life was responding to Rick when he said, Rick said, give a good word for us when you get to glory. And Joel said, I will do that. And that was the last sentence that I ever heard him speak. And so I just wanted to let you guys know that, and that it was just a wonderful thing for Joel, the Maasai Rescue Girls. I know he loved that a lot. And so we appreciate what that has done in his life.
Thank you, and we're sorry for your loss. I mean, Joel has been such a supporter over the years, and it's a heck of a loss. Our condolences.
No, Rick is not there today.
Where is Rick?
Oh, Rick fell off the call. His internet went down.
Just as I get on, he gets off. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we'll pray for Joel's family. That's tough stuff.
Yes, it is. It's very tough for his children. So all right. Well, then we're going to sign off. Please, if you have any questions or comments, I'm always available. Rick is available. And others, we are truly blessed for all the support that we've gotten. I can't say I'm blown away with all the help. So again,
hey Bruce, one more thing before we go away. When does Rick plan on coming back to the States again?
We don't have a firm plan yet. He's thinking summer.
Yes.
Last year he was here last summer, and we visited 3 or 4 locations: Detroit, Milwaukee, Scottsdale, Boston, and so we'd love to stop in Cincinnati. If you'd like to hold an event in your area, Joyce and I are available. Other board members are, and we can get Rick on a call. If nothing else, we're planning an event in Raleigh in April, and so. But Rick's next scheduled, time frame is sometime in summer.
Okay, good. Thanks.
All right. Well,
keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you.
Thank you
Talk
very
to you
much.
soon, Joyce.
Thank you.
See you later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.